Leviticus. The Lord called Moses and spoke to him from the tabernacle. He said, "Speak to the people of Israel and say, when any of you brings an offering to the Lord, bring your offering of animals either from the herd or the flock. If the offering is a burnt sacrifice from the herd, let it be a male without any defects. You must offer it at the entrance of the tabernacle, so the Lord will accept it. Lay your hand on the head of the animal. It will be accepted on your behalf to make atonement for you. Kill the bull before the Lord. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, will present the blood and splash it around the altar at the entrance of the tabernacle. Skin the burnt offering and cut it into pieces. The sons of Aaron the priest will build a fire on the altar and arrange wood on the fire. Then the priests will arrange the pieces, the head and the fat, on the wood that is burning on the altar. Wash the inner organs and the legs with water. Then the priest will burn all of it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, a sweet smell to the Lord. If your offering is a burnt sacrifice from the flock, either a sheep or a goat, offer a male without defects. Kill it on the north side of the altar before the Lord. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, will sprinkle its blood on all sides of the altar. Cut it into pieces. The priest will arrange them, the head and the fat on the wood that is burning on the altar. Wash the inner organs and the legs with water. Then the priest will offer it all and burn it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, a sweet smell to the Lord. If your offering to the Lord is a bird, bring a turtle dove or a young pigeon. The priest will bring it to the altar, twist off its head, and burn it on the altar. Its blood must be drained on the side of the altar. He must remove the bird's crop and feathers and throw them beside the altar on the east side, in the place where the ashes are. Then he must tear it open by the wings, but not split it completely. The priest will burn it on the wood that is on the fire. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, a sweet smell to the Lord. When anyone brings a grain offering to the Lord, it must be fine flour. They must pour olive oil on it and put frankincense on it. They must bring it to Aaron's sons, the priests. A priest will take a handful of the flour and oil along with all the frankincense and burn it on the altar. It is a memorial offering, a food offering made by fire, a sweet smell to the Lord. The rest of the grain offering belongs to Aaron and his sons. It is a most holy part of the offerings to the Lord. If you bring a grain offering baked in the oven, it must be made of fine flour without yeast. It can be in the form of thin loaves mixed with oil, or wafers spread with oil. If your offering is cooked on a griddle, it must be of fine flour mixed with oil and without yeast. Break it into pieces and pour oil on it. It is a grain offering. If your offering is cooked in a pan, it must be of fine flour with oil. Bring the grain offering that is made from these things to the Lord. Give it to the priest, and he will bring it to the altar. The priest will take part of the grain offering as a memorial portion and burn it on the altar. It is a food offering made by fire, a sweet smell to the Lord. The rest of the grain offering belongs to Aaron and his sons. It is a most holy part of the food offerings to the Lord. You must not bring grain offerings made with yeast. You must not burn any yeast or honey as a food offering made by fire to the Lord. You may bring them to the Lord as an offering of first fruits, but they must not be burned on the altar. Season all your grain offerings with salt. Do not leave out the salt of the covenant of your God. Add salt to all your offerings. If you bring a grain offering of first fruits to the Lord, offer crushed heads of new grain, roasted in the fire. Put oil and frankincense on it. It is a grain offering. The priest will burn part of the crushed grain with the oil and all the frankincense as a food offering made by fire to the Lord. If someone brings a peace offering to the Lord, it may be an animal from the herd, either male or female, but it must have no defects. They must lay their hand on the animal's head and kill it at the entrance of the tabernacle. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, will splash its blood on all sides of the altar. From the peace offering, they must offer part of it as a fire offering to the Lord, the fat that covers the inner organs, and all the fat that is on the inside, the 2 kidneys, and the fat on them, and the long lobe of the liver, which must be removed with the kidneys. Then Aaron's sons will burn these parts on the altar on top of the burnt offering that is on the wood over the fire. It is a food offering made by fire, a sweet smell to the Lord. If the offering for a peace sacrifice to the Lord is from the flock, it may be a male or female, but it must have no defects. If it is a lamb, they must present it before the Lord, lay a hand on its head, and kill it in front of the tabernacle. Aaron's sons will splash its blood on all sides of the altar. From this offering, they must present the fat as a fire offering to the Lord, the entire fat tail cut off close to the backbone, the fat that covers the inner organs and all the fat inside, the 2 kidneys, and the fat on them, and the long lobe of the liver, which must be removed with the kidneys. Then the priest will burn these on the altar. It is a food offering made by fire to the Lord. If the offering is a goat, they must present it before the Lord, lay a hand on its head, and kill it in front of the tabernacle. Aaron's sons will splash its blood on all sides of the altar. They must present as part of the offering made by fire, the fat that covers the inner organs and all the fat inside, the 2 kidneys and the fat on them, and the long lobe of the liver which must be removed with the kidneys. The priest will burn them on the altar. It is a food offering made by fire with a sweet smell. All the fat belongs to the Lord. This is a permanent law for all your generations wherever you live. You must never eat any fat or any blood. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, if someone sins unintentionally by breaking any of the Lord's commands, even though they didn't mean to, they are still guilty. If the high priest sins in this way, bringing guilt on the people, he must bring a young bull without defects as a sin offering to the Lord. He must bring the bull to the entrance of the tabernacle, lay his hand on its head, and kill it before the Lord. Then the priest must take some of the bull's blood, bring it into the tabernacle, dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord in front of the curtain of the sanctuary. The priest must also put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of incense inside the tabernacle. The rest of the blood he must pour at the base of the altar of burnt offering at the entrance of the tabernacle. He must remove all the fat from the bull, the fat covering the inner parts, the fat on the organs, both kidneys with the fat on them, and the long lobe of the liver, and burn them on the altar of burnt offering. But the rest of the bull, its hide, meat, head, legs, internal organs, and waste, the entire bull, he must take outside the camp to a place that is ceremonially clean, where ashes are dumped. There he must burn it on a wood fire on the ash heap. If the whole community of Israel sins unintentionally, and the matter escapes the notice of the assembly, and they break one of the Lord's commands, even though they are unaware, they are guilty. When they realize their sin, the assembly must bring a young bull as a sin offering. They must bring it before the tabernacle, and the elders must lay their hands on the bull's head before the Lord. Then the bull must be killed before the Lord. The high priest will take some of the bull's blood into the tabernacle, dip his finger in it, and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord in front of the curtain. He must also put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of incense and pour out the rest at the base of the altar of burnt offering. He must remove all the fat and burn it on the altar. Then take the rest of the bull outside the camp and burn it just like the first bull. It is a sin offering for the assembly. If a leader sins unintentionally by breaking any of the Lord's commands, he is guilty. When he becomes aware of his sin, he must bring a male goat without defects. He must lay his hand on the goat's head and kill it at the place where burnt offerings are killed before the Lord. It is a sin offering. The priest will take some of the blood with his finger, put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour the rest at the base of the altar. Then he will burn all the fat on the altar, like the fat of the peace offerings. In this way the priest will make atonement, and the leader will be forgiven. If any of the people sin unintentionally by breaking any of the Lord's commands, they are guilty. When someone realizes their sin, they must bring a female goat without defects as a sin offering. They must lay a hand on the animal's head and kill it at the place of the burnt offerings. The priest will take some of its blood with his finger, put it on the horns of the altar, and pour out the rest at the base of the altar. Then he will remove all the fat, just like the fat of the peace offerings, and burn it on the altar. The priest will make atonement, and the person will be forgiven. If the person brings a lamb instead of a goat, it must be a female without defects. They must lay a hand on the lamb's head and kill it as a sin offering in the place where burnt offerings are killed. The priest will take some of the blood with his finger, put it on the horns of the altar, and pour out the rest at the base of the altar. He will remove all the fat, just like the fat of a lamb in the peace offerings, and burn it on the altar. In this way, the priest will make atonement, and the person will be forgiven. If someone sins by not speaking up when they hear a public call to testify about something they saw or knew, they are guilty. If someone touches something unclean, like a dead animal or unclean human fluid, even if they don't realize it, they become unclean and guilty. If someone touches human uncleanness of any kind, even without knowing it, they are guilty when they realize it. If someone carelessly swears to do something, good or bad, without thinking, and later realizes it, they are guilty. When someone becomes aware of their guilt in any of these cases, they must confess the sin they have committed. They must bring to the Lord a female lamb or goat as a sin offering. The priest will make atonement, and they will be forgiven. If they cannot afford a lamb, they must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a sin offering, the other for a burnt offering. They must bring them to the priest, who will offer the one for the sin offering first. He will wring its neck, but not tear it completely open. He will sprinkle some of its blood on the side of the altar and pour out the rest at the base. It is a sin offering. Then he will offer the second bird as a burnt offering according to the rules. The priest will make atonement, and they will be forgiven. If they cannot afford 2 birds, they must bring about 1.5 kilograms of fine flour as a sin offering. They must not put oil or incense on it because it is a sin offering. They must bring it to the priest, who will take a handful as a memorial portion and burn it on the altar on top of the food offerings made by fire. The priest will make atonement for them, and they will be forgiven. The rest of the flour belongs to the priest, just like a grain offering. The Lord said to Moses, "If someone sins by doing something unfaithful against the Lord, like lying about holy things, they must bring a guilt offering to the Lord, a ram without defects from the flock, worth the right amount in silver, according to the sanctuary standard. They must repay what they took or damaged in regard to the holy thing and add 1/5 more. They must give it to the priest. Then the priest will make atonement with the ram, and they will be forgiven. If someone sins without knowing it and does something against any of the Lord's commands, they are still guilty and will be punished. They must bring a ram without defects as a guilt offering to the priest. The priest will make atonement for them, and they will be forgiven. It is a guilt offering, and they were certainly guilty before the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "If someone sins and is unfaithful to the Lord by deceiving a neighbor about something left in their care, or about a pledge, or by stealing, or by cheating a neighbor, or if they find lost property and lie about it, or if they swear falsely about any such sin, they are guilty. They must return what they stole, or what they took by cheating, or what was left with them, or the lost property they found, or anything they swore falsely about. They must repay the full amount and add 1/5 more. They must give it to the owner on the day they bring their guilt offering. Then they must bring a ram without defects from the flock as a guilt offering to the Lord. They must bring it to the priest. The priest will make atonement for them before the Lord, and they will be forgiven for anything they did that made them guilty. The Lord said to Moses, "Give Aaron and his sons this command about the burnt offering. The burnt offering must stay on the altar hearth throughout the night until morning, and the fire must be kept burning on the altar. The priest must wear his linen clothes and linen undergarments. He will remove the ashes of the burnt offering that the fire has consumed on the altar and place them beside the altar. Then he will change his clothes and carry the ashes outside the camp to a clean place. The fire on the altar must be kept burning. It must not go out. Every morning the priest will add firewood, arrange the burnt offering on the fire, and burn the fat of the peace offerings on it. The fire must be kept burning on the altar continuously. It must not go out. These are the instructions for the grain offering. Aaron's sons are to bring it before the Lord, in front of the altar. The priest will take a handful of the fine flour and oil, along with all the frankincense, and burn this memorial portion on the altar as a sweet smell to the Lord. Aaron and his sons will eat the rest of it. It must be eaten without yeast in a holy place, in the courtyard of the tabernacle. It must not be baked with yeast. I have given it as their portion from the food offerings to the Lord. It is most holy, like the sin offering and the guilt offering. Every male among Aaron's descendants may eat it. It is their permanent share from the Lord's food offerings. Whatever touches them will become holy. The Lord said to Moses, "This is the offering Aaron and his sons must bring to the Lord on the day he is anointed: 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a regular grain offering, half in the morning and half in the evening. It must be prepared with oil on a griddle. Bring it well mixed and present it in pieces as a grain offering with a sweet smell to the Lord. The anointed priest who takes Aaron's place must offer it. It is the Lord's permanent law. It must be completely burned. Every grain offering of a priest must be completely burned. It must not be eaten." The Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron and his sons, these are the instructions for the sin offering. The animal must be killed in the same place as the burnt offering, before the Lord. It is most holy. The priest who offers it as a sin offering must eat it. It must be eaten in a holy place, in the courtyard of the tabernacle. Whatever touches its meat will be holy. If any blood is splashed on clothing, you must wash it in a holy place. If it is cooked in a clay pot, the pot must be broken. If it is cooked in a bronze pot, it must be scoured and rinsed with water. Any male among the priests may eat it. It is most holy. But if any of the blood from the sin offering is taken into the tabernacle to make atonement in the holy place, it must not be eaten. It must be burned in the fire. These are the instructions for the guilt offering. It is most holy. The animal for the guilt offering must be killed where the burnt offering is killed, and its blood must be sprinkled on all sides of the altar. All the fat must be offered, the fat tail, the fat covering the inner organs, both kidneys with the fat on them, and the long lobe of the liver, which must be removed with the kidneys. The priest will burn them on the altar as an offering made by fire to the Lord. It is a guilt offering. Any male among the priests may eat it in a holy place. It is most holy. The guilt offering is like the sin offering. The same law applies to both. It belongs to the priest who makes atonement with it. The priest who offers a burnt offering for anyone may keep the animal's hide. Every grain offering that is baked in an oven or cooked in a pan or on a griddle belongs to the priest who offers it. Every grain offering, whether dry or mixed with oil, belongs equally to all the sons of Aaron. These are the instructions for the peace offering that someone may offer to the Lord. If they offer it as a thanksgiving, they must also offer unleavened loaves mixed with oil, unleavened wafers spread with oil, and loaves of fine flour well mixed with oil. They must also bring loaves of leavened bread with the peace offering for thanksgiving. From it, they must offer one loaf of each kind as a gift to the Lord. It belongs to the priest who splashes the blood of the peace offering. The meat of the thanksgiving peace offering must be eaten on the day it is offered. Nothing may be left until morning. If the sacrifice is a vow or free will offering, it may be eaten on the day it is offered, and the rest may be eaten the next day. But anything left over until the third day must be burned in the fire. If any of it is eaten on the third day, it will not be accepted. It will not count for the one who offered it. It will be considered rotten, and the one who eats it will be guilty. If meat from the peace offering touches anything unclean, it must not be eaten. It must be burned. Anyone who is clean may eat the meat, but if someone eats it while unclean, they must be cut off from their people. If someone touches anything unclean, human uncleanness, unclean animals, or anything unclean, and then eats the meat of the peace offering, they must be cut off from their people. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, do not eat any fat from cattle, sheep, or goats. The fat of an animal that dies naturally or is torn by wild animals may be used for other purposes, but you must not eat it. Anyone who eats animal fat from offerings to the Lord must be cut off from their people. Do not eat any blood of birds or animals anywhere you live. Anyone who eats blood must be cut off from their people." The Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, anyone who brings a peace offering to the Lord must bring part of it as a special gift. With their own hands, they must present the offerings made by fire. They must bring the fat with the breast and wave the breast before the Lord. The priest will burn the fat on the altar, but the breast belongs to Aaron and his sons. You must also give the right thigh as a contribution to the priest who offers the blood and fat. The thigh and the breast are the regular share for Aaron's descendants from the Israelites' peace offerings. This is what the Lord commanded to be given to them on the day they were anointed as priests. It is their permanent portion throughout the generations, from the food offerings made by fire to the Lord. These are the instructions for the burnt offering, the grain offering, the sin offering, the guilt offering, the ordination offering, and the peace offering. The Lord gave these commands to Moses on Mount Sinai, on the day he commanded the Israelites to bring their offerings to the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. The Lord said to Moses, "Bring Aaron and his sons, the priestly garments, the anointing oil, a bull for the sin offering, 2 rams, and a basket of unleavened bread. Then gather the whole community at the entrance of the tabernacle." Moses did as the Lord commanded, and the whole community gathered there. Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded to be done." He brought Aaron and his sons forward and washed them with water. He put the tunic on Aaron, tied the sash around him, clothed him with the robe, put the ephod on him, and tied the woven waistband around the ephod. He placed the breastplate on him and put the Urim and Thummim into it. Then he set the turban on Aaron's head and placed the gold plate, the holy crown, on the front of the turban, just as the Lord commanded. Moses took the anointing oil and anointed the tabernacle and everything in it to make them holy. He sprinkled some of the oil on the altar 7 times, anointing the altar, its tools, the basin, and its stand to make them holy. He poured some of the anointing oil on Aaron's head to consecrate him. Then Moses brought Aaron's sons forward, put tunics on them, tied sashes around them, and fastened caps on them, just as the Lord commanded. He brought the bull for the sin offering. Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the bull's head. Moses slaughtered it, took the blood, and put it on the horns of the altar to purify it. He poured the rest of the blood at the base of the altar and made it holy. He took all the fat around the inner organs, the long lobe of the liver, and both kidneys with their fat and burned them on the altar. But the rest of the bullet's hide, flesh, and waste he burned outside the camp, just as the Lord commanded. Then he brought the ram for the burnt offering. Aaron and his sons laid their hands on its head. Moses slaughtered it and splashed its blood on all sides of the altar. He cut the ram into pieces and burned the head, pieces, and fat. He washed the inner organs and the legs with water and burned the whole ram on the altar. It was a burnt offering for a sweet smell to the Lord, just as the Lord commanded. Then he brought the second ram, the ram of ordination. Aaron and his sons laid their hands on its head. Moses slaughtered it, took some of its blood, and put it on Aaron's right earlobe, on his right thumb, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then he did the same to each of Aaron's sons. He splashed the rest of the blood on all sides of the altar. He took the fat tail, all the fat around the inner organs, the long lobe of the liver, both kidneys with their fat, and the right thigh. From the basket of unleavened bread that was before the Lord, he took one loaf without yeast, one cake with oil, and one wafer, and placed them on the fat and the right thigh. He put all these in the hands of Aaron and his sons, and they waved them before the Lord. Then Moses took them from their hands and burned them on the altar on top of the burnt offering. It was a special offering made by fire to the Lord. Moses also took the breast and waved it before the Lord. It was Moses' portion from the ram of ordination, just as the Lord commanded. He took some of the anointing oil and some of the blood from the altar and sprinkled them on Aaron and his garments, and on his sons and their garments, so he made them holy. Then Moses said to Aaron and his sons, "Boil the meat at the entrance of the tabernacle, and eat it there, with the bread from the basket of ordination, just as the Lord commanded. What's left of the meat and bread you must burn up. Do not leave the entrance of the tabernacle for 7 days until your ordination is complete. The Lord commanded this to be done to make atonement for you. Stay at the entrance of the tabernacle day and night for 7 days, doing what the Lord has commanded, so you will not die." So Aaron and his sons did everything the Lord had commanded through Moses. On the 8th day, Moses called Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel. He said to Aaron, "Take a young calf for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering, both without defects, and offer them to the Lord. Tell the Israelites, take a male goat for a sin offering, a calf and a lamb, both a year old for a burnt offering, all without defects. Also bring a bull and a ram for peace offerings, to sacrifice before the Lord, and a grain offering mixed with oil. Today the Lord will appear to you." They brought what Moses commanded to the front of the tabernacle, and the entire community came near and stood before the Lord. Then Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded you to do, so his glory may appear to you." Moses told Aaron, "Go to the altar and offer your sin offering and your burnt offering to make atonement for yourself and the people. Then offer the people's sacrifice to make atonement for them, just as the Lord commanded." So Aaron went to the altar and killed the calf as a sin offering for himself. His sons brought the blood to him. He dipped his finger in it and put it on the horns of the altar. He poured the rest at the base of the altar. He burned the fat, the kidneys, and the long lobe of the liver from the sin offering on the altar, just as the Lord commanded Moses. He burned the meat and the hide outside the camp. Then he killed the burnt offering. His sons handed him the blood, and he splashed it on all sides of the altar. They brought him the pieces of the burnt offering, including the head, and he burned them on the altar. He washed the inner parts and the legs and burned them on top of the burnt offering. Next, he brought the people's offering. He took the goat for the people's sin offering and killed it. He offered it like the first one. He brought the burnt offering and offered it according to the rules. He presented the grain offering, took a handful, and burned it on the altar, in addition to the morning's burnt offering. Then he killed the bull and the ram as the people's peace offerings. His sons handed him the blood, and he splashed it on all sides of the altar. They brought him the fat parts from the bull and the ram, the fat tail, the fat covering the organs, the kidneys, and the long lobe of the liver. They placed the fat portions on top of the breasts, and Aaron burned the fat on the altar. He waved the breasts and the right thighs as a wave offering before the Lord, as Moses commanded. Then Aaron lifted his hands toward the people and blessed them. He came down from offering the sin offering, the burnt offering, and the peace offerings. Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle. When they came out, they blessed the people, and the glory of the Lord appeared to all. Fire came out from the Lord and consumed the burnt offering and the fat on the altar. When the people saw it, they shouted for joy and fell on their faces. Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, took their censers, put fire in them, and added incense. They offered unauthorized fire before the Lord, which he had not commanded. So fire came out from the Lord and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. Moses said to Aaron, "This is what the Lord spoke. I will be honored by those who come near me, and before all the people I will be glorified." And Aaron remained silent. Then Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan, sons of Aaron's uncle Uzziel, and said, "Come and carry your relatives away from the sanctuary to a place outside the camp." So they came and carried them in their tunics outside the camp, as Moses had said. Then Moses said to Aaron and to his sons Eleazar and Ithamar, "Do not uncover your heads or tear your clothes, or you will die, and the Lord will be angry with the whole community. Let your relatives and the rest of Israel mourn the burning that the Lord has done. But you must not leave the entrance of the tabernacle, or you will die, because the Lord's anointing oil is on you." So they did as Moses said. Then the Lord spoke to Aaron, "You and your sons mustn't drink wine or strong drink when you go into the tabernacle, or you will die. This is a lasting law for all generations. You must distinguish between the holy and the unholy, and between the clean and the unclean. And you must teach the Israelites all the laws that the Lord gave through Moses." Moses said to Aaron's remaining sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, "Take the grain offering left from the food offerings and eat it without yeast beside the altar. It is most holy. You must eat it in a holy place because it is your share from the Lord's food offerings. That's what I was commanded. Also, eat the breast of the wave offering and the thigh of the contribution in a clean place, you and your sons and daughters. They are your share from the peace offerings of the Israelites. They must bring the thigh and the breast with the food offerings made by fire to wave before the Lord. They belong to you and your children as your permanent share, as the Lord commanded." Then Moses looked for the goat of the sin offering and discovered it had been burned. He was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's remaining sons, and said, "Why didn't you eat the sin offering in the holy place? It is most holy, and God gave it to you to remove the guilt of the community and make atonement for them before the Lord. Its blood was not brought into the sanctuary. You should have eaten it in the holy place as I commanded." But Aaron said to Moses, "Today they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, but still, this happened to me. Would the Lord have been pleased if I had eaten the sin offering today?" When Moses heard this, he was satisfied. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Tell the Israelites, these are the animals you may eat from all the animals on the earth. You may eat any animal that has a divided hoof and chews the cud, but among those that chew the cud or have a divided hoof, you must not eat these. The camel, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean for you. The coney, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean for you. The hare, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean for you. The pig, though it has a divided hoof, does not chew the cud. It is unclean for you. You must not eat their meat or touch their carcasses. They are unclean for you. Of all the creatures in the water, in the seas and rivers, you may eat any that have fins and scales. But all creatures that have no fins and scales, whether in the seas or rivers, among all that move in the waters, and among all the living things in the water, you must not eat them. They are unclean for you. You must regard them as detestable. Do not eat their meat. You must hate their carcasses. Anything in the water that does not have fins and scales is unclean for you. These are the birds you must not eat. They are to be detested: the eagle, the vulture, the black vulture, the kite and any kind of falcon, every kind of raven, the ostrich, the nighthawk, the seagull, any kind of hawk, the little owl, the cormorant, the great owl, the white owl, the desert owl, the osprey, the stork, and any kind of heron, the hoopoe, and the bat. All flying insects that walk on all fours are detestable to you, but you may eat certain flying insects that walk on all fours if they have jointed legs for hopping on the ground. Of these you may eat all kinds of locusts, katydids, crickets, and grasshoppers. But all other flying insects that have 4 legs are to be hated by you. You will make yourselves unclean by these. Whoever touches their carcasses will be unclean until evening. Whoever picks up one of their carcasses must wash their clothes and be unclean until evening. All animals with split but not completely divided hooves, or that do not chew the cud, are unclean for you. Whoever touches them will be unclean. Of all the animals that walk on paws among those that move on all fours, they are unclean for you. Whoever touches their dead bodies will be unclean until evening. Whoever picks up their dead bodies must wash their clothes and will be unclean until evening. They are unclean for you. These are unclean for you among the animals that move along the ground: the weasel, the rat, any kind of great lizard, the gecko, the monitor lizard, the wall lizard, the skink, and the chameleon. These are unclean for you. Whoever touches them when they are dead will be unclean until evening. Anything that one of them falls on when dead will be unclean, whether it is made of wood, cloth, skin, or sackcloth. Whatever it is used for, it must be put in water. It will be unclean until evening. Then it will be clean. If any of them falls into a clay pot, everything in it will become unclean, and you must break the pot. Any food in it that could be eaten will be unclean. Any liquid in it that could be drunk will be unclean. Anything their carcass falls on will be unclean. A clay oven or cooking pot must be broken. It is unclean and must be treated as such. But a spring or a well that collects water remains clean. Only whoever touches the carcass will be unclean. If a dead animal falls on seeds to be planted, they remain clean. But if water is poured on the seed and a carcass touches it, it becomes unclean. If an animal you may eat dies, whoever touches its carcass will be unclean until evening. Whoever eats some of its meat must wash their clothes and be unclean until evening. Whoever picks up its carcass must wash their clothes and be unclean until evening. Creatures that move along the ground are detestable and must not be eaten. Do not eat any creature that moves on its belly, or walks on all fours, or on many feet. They are unclean. Do not make yourselves unclean by any of these. Do not make yourselves impure because of them. I am the Lord your God. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am holy. Do not make yourselves unclean by any creature that moves on the ground. I am the Lord who brought you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. You must be holy, because I am holy. These are the laws about animals, birds, and every living creature in the water and those that move along the ground. You must distinguish between the unclean and the clean, between living creatures that may be eaten and those that may not be eaten. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Tell the Israelites, if a woman becomes pregnant and gives birth to a son, she will be unclean for 7 days, just as she is unclean during her monthly period. On the 8th day, the baby boy must be circumcised. Then she must wait 33 more days to be purified from her bleeding. She must not touch anything holy or enter the sanctuary until her days of purification are complete. If she gives birth to a daughter, she will be unclean for 2 weeks, just like during her period. Then she must wait 66 more days to be purified from her bleeding. When her purification is complete, whether for a son or a daughter, she must bring to the priest at the entrance of the tabernacle a year-old lamb for a burnt offering and a young pigeon, or a turtle dove for a sin offering. He will offer them before the Lord to make atonement for her, and she will be clean from her flow of blood. This is the law for a woman after childbirth, whether a son or a daughter. If she cannot afford a lamb, she must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a burnt offering and the other for a sin offering. The priest will make atonement for her, and she will be clean. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, When someone has a swelling, a rash, or a bright spot on their skin that could become a skin disease, they must be brought to Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons who are priests. The priest must examine the spot on the skin. If the hair in the sore has turned white, and the sore appears deeper than the skin, it is a serious skin disease. The priest must declare the person unclean. If the spot is white but the hair hasn't turned white, and the sore isn't deeper than the skin, the priest must isolate the person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest must examine them again. If the sore hasn't changed or spread, the person must be isolated for another 7 days. If after the 2nd week the sore has faded and has not spread, the priest must pronounce them clean. It was only a scab. They must wash their clothes and they will be clean. But if the sore spreads on the skin after being examined, the person must be seen by the priest again. If the priest sees that the sore has spread, he must declare them unclean. It is a skin disease. If someone has a skin disease, they must be brought to the priest. The priest will examine them. If there is a white swelling on the skin, and the hair has turned white, and there is raw flesh in the sore, it is a chronic disease. The priest must declare them unclean without isolating them. If the disease covers the whole body, from head to foot, the priest must examine them. If it is truly spread over the entire body and turned white, the priest must pronounce them clean. It has all turned white. They are clean. But if raw flesh appears, they are unclean. When the raw flesh turns white again, the person must return to the priest, who will examine them again. If the flesh has turned white, the priest must declare them clean. If there is a boil on the skin that heals, and a white swelling or reddish-white spot appears, the person must be brought to the priest. If the priest sees it looks deeper than the skin, and the hair has turned white, he must declare them unclean. But if it is not deeper than the skin, and there is no white hair, he must isolate them for 7 days. If it spreads, the priest will declare them unclean. If not, it was just a scar from the boil. If someone gets burned and the burn heals, and a white or reddish-white spot appears, the priest must examine it. If the hair has turned white and it looks deeper than the skin, they are unclean. If there is no white hair and it is not deeper, they must be isolated for 7 days. If it spreads, they are unclean. If not, it is just a burn scar. If a man or woman has a sore on the head or chin, the priest must examine it. If it seems deeper than the skin, and the hair in it is yellow and thin, it is a skin disease, and the priest must declare them unclean. If it's not deeper, and there is no dark hair in it, the priest must isolate them for 7 days. On the seventh day, if it hasn't spread and has no yellow hair, they must shave around it but not the sore itself. Then isolate them for another 7 days. If it hasn't spread, the priest must declare them clean. They must wash their clothes. But if it spreads, the priest must declare them unclean. If in the sore there is dark hair, they are clean. If a man has baldness on the front or back of his head, he is clean. But if a reddish-white sore appears in the bald area, it is a skin disease. The priest must declare him unclean. Anyone with such a disease must wear torn clothes, let their hair hang loose, cover their mouth, and cry out, "Unclean! Unclean!" They must live alone. Their dwelling must be outside the camp. If mildew appears on clothes, whether wool or linen, woven or knitted, or leather, it must be shown to the priest. He must isolate the item for 7 days. If the mildew has spread, it is unclean and must be burned. If it hasn't spread, the priest will order the item to be washed and isolated another 7 days. If it still looks bad, it must be burned. If it has faded, he will tear out the affected part. If it returns, it must be burned. But if it disappears after washing, the item must be washed again, and it is clean. This is the law about any skin disease or boil, burn, or mildew in clothes to determine what is clean and unclean. The Lord said to Moses, "This is the law for anyone who has been healed of a skin disease. They must be brought to the priest, and the priest must go outside the camp and examine them. If the disease is healed, the priest will order 2 clean birds, some cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop to be brought. Then he must order 1 bird to be killed over fresh water in a clay pot. He will take the live bird, the cedar wood, the scarlet yarn, and the hyssop, and dip them in the blood of the bird that was killed over the fresh water. Then he must sprinkle the blood 7 times on the one being cleansed and pronounce them clean. He will release the live bird into the open fields. The person being cleansed must wash their clothes, shave off all their hair, and bathe in water. Then they will be clean and may come into the camp, but they must stay outside their tent for 7 days. On the 7th day, they must shave off all their hair again, head, beard, eyebrows, everything. They must wash their clothes and bathe again. Then they will be clean. On the 8th day, they must bring 2 male lambs and 1 female lamb a year old, all without defects, plus 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering, and 1 log of oil. The priest will present the person and the offerings before the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle. He will take 1 male lamb and offer it as a guilt offering, along with the log of oil, and wave them before the Lord. Then he will slaughter the lamb and take some of its blood and put it on the right earlobe of the person being cleansed, on their right thumb, and on the big toe of their right foot. The priest will then pour some of the oil into his own left hand and dip his right finger in it and sprinkle it before the Lord 7 times. With the rest of the oil in his hand, he will put some on the right earlobe of the person being cleansed, on their right thumb, and the big toe of their right foot on top of the blood. He will pour the remaining oil on the person's head to make atonement for them. Then he must offer the sin offering and make atonement. After that, he will offer the burnt offering and the grain offering on the altar. The priest will make atonement, and the person will be clean. If the person is poor and cannot afford all this, they must bring 1 male lamb for a guilt offering, a tenth of an ephah of flour with oil for a grain offering, and a log of oil plus 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a sin offering and one for a burnt offering. They must bring them on the 8th day for their cleansing to the priest at the entrance of the tabernacle. The priest will take the guilt offering lamb and wave it with the oil before the Lord. He will slaughter the lamb, use its blood on the person's right earlobe, right thumb, and right big toe. Then he will pour oil into his left hand, sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord, and apply it over the blood on the person's ear, thumb, and toe. He will pour the rest on their head and make atonement. Then he will offer the 2 birds, one for a sin offering and one for a burnt offering with the grain offering. The priest will make atonement and the person will be clean. This is the law for someone with a skin disease who cannot afford the regular offerings. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "When you enter the land of Canaan, if I send mildew into a house, the owner must go to the priest and say, 'I think there is something like mildew in my house.' The priest must order the house to be emptied before he examines it. He will examine the walls. If the mildew has green or red spots and appears deeper than the surface, he must shut up the house for 7 days. On the 7th day, he will examine it again. If the mildew has spread, he will order the infected stones to be removed and thrown outside the city. The inside of the house must be scraped and the plaster thrown away. Then new stones must replace the old ones, and the house must be replastered. If the mildew returns, the priest must inspect it again. If it spreads, the house is unclean. It must be torn down stones, wood, plaster, and taken outside the city. Anyone who enters while it's closed will be unclean until evening. If the mildew doesn't return after the house is repaired, the priest will pronounce it clean. To cleanse the house, he will take 2 birds, cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop. He will kill 1 bird over fresh water in a clay pot, then dip the live bird and the wood, yarn, and hyssop into the blood and water, sprinkle the house 7 times, and release the live bird into the fields. This is the law for any skin disease, infection, mildew in clothes or houses, swelling, rash, or shiny spot, to determine when something is clean or unclean. This is the law about skin diseases and mildew. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say, 'If a man has a bodily discharge, that discharge makes him unclean. Whether it flows or is blocked, it makes him unclean. Anything he lies on will be unclean, and anything he sits on will be unclean. Anyone who touches his bed must wash their clothes, bathe in water, and will be unclean until evening. Anyone who sits where he sat must wash their clothes, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. If someone touches his body, they must wash their clothes, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. If the man with the discharge spits on someone clean, they must wash their clothes, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. Anything he sits on and anyone who carries those items must wash their clothes and bathe in water. If the man touches something without rinsing his hands with water, the person he touches must wash and bathe. A clay pot he touches must be broken. A wooden item must be rinsed with water. When the discharge stops, he must count 7 days to be clean. Then he must wash his clothes, bathe in fresh water, and be clean. On the 8th day, he must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the priest at the tabernacle entrance. The priest will offer one as a sin offering, the other as a burnt offering, and make atonement for him. If a man has a semen emission, he must bathe his whole body and be unclean until evening. Any clothing or leather with semen on it must be washed and is unclean until evening. If a man lies with a woman and there is an emission of semen, both must bathe in water and be unclean until evening. If a woman has her regular monthly flow, she will be unclean for 7 days. Anyone who touches her will be unclean until evening. Anything she lies or sits on during her period is unclean. Anyone who touches her bed or seat must wash their clothes, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. If a man lies with her and her menstrual flow touches him, he will be unclean for 7 days, and any bed he lies on will also be unclean. If a woman has a discharge of blood outside her regular period, or if it lasts longer than usual, she will be unclean as long as it continues. Anything she lies or sits on will be unclean like during her period. Anyone who touches those things must wash their clothes, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. When she is cleansed from her discharge, she must count 7 days, and after that she will be clean. On the 8th day, she must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the priest at the entrance of the tabernacle. The priest will offer one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering, and make atonement for her before the Lord. You must keep the Israelites away from uncleanness, so they do not die in their uncleanness by defiling my tabernacle. This is the law for a man with a discharge, a man who emits semen and becomes unclean, a woman during her monthly period, a man or woman with any discharge, and for a man who sleeps with a woman who is unclean. The Lord spoke to Moses after the death of Aaron's 2 sons, who died when they came near to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell your brother Aaron he must not enter the most holy place whenever he chooses, or he will die, because I appear in the cloud above the mercy seat." This is how Aaron is to enter the most holy place: with a young bull for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He must wear the holy linen tunic, linen undergarments next to his body, a linen sash, and a linen turban. These are sacred garments. He must bathe with water before putting them on. From the Israelite community, he must take 2 male goats for a sin offering and 1 ram for a burnt offering. Aaron is to offer the bull for his own sin, offering to make atonement for himself and his family. Then he must take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the entrance to the tabernacle. He is to cast lots for the 2 goats, one for the Lord and the other for the scapegoat. Aaron will bring the goat chosen for the Lord and offer it as a sin offering. But the goat chosen by lot as the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord to make atonement and sent into the wilderness as the scapegoat. Aaron shall offer the bull for his own sin offering to make atonement for himself and his household. He will kill the bull for the sin offering. Then he will take a censer full of burning coals from the altar before the Lord, and 2 handfuls of incense, and bring them behind the veil. He will put the incense on the fire so that the cloud covers the mercy seat above the tablets, so he will not die. He must take some of the bull's blood and sprinkle it with his finger on the front of the mercy seat and 7 times before it. Then he will kill the goat for the people's sin offering and bring its blood behind the veil. He will sprinkle it on and before the mercy seat, just as he did with the bull's blood. In this way, he will make atonement for the most holy place, because of the uncleanness and rebellion of the Israelites, whatever their sins have been. He is to do the same for the tent of meeting, which is among them in the middle of their uncleanness. No one may be in the tabernacle from the time he enters to make atonement until he comes out. He will make atonement for himself, his household, and the whole community of Israel. Then he shall come out to the altar and make atonement for it. He will take some of the bull's and goat's blood and put it on the horns of the altar. He shall sprinkle blood on it 7 times with his finger to purify it, and set it apart from the uncleanness of the Israelites. When Aaron finishes making atonement for the most holy place, the tabernacle, and the altar, he will bring forward the live goat. He will lay both hands on its head and confess over it all the sins of the Israelites, all their wrongs and rebellions. He will put them on the goat's head and send it away into the wilderness under the care of someone appointed. The goat will carry all their sins into a remote place, and the man will release it into the desert. Then Aaron will go into the tabernacle, remove the linen garments he wore while entering the most holy place, and leave them there. He must bathe in the holy place and put on his regular clothes. Then he will come out and offer the burnt offerings for himself and the people to make atonement. He will also burn the fat of the sin offering on the altar. The man who released the scapegoat must wash his clothes and bathe with water. After that, he may come back into the camp. The bull and goat used for the sin offering, whose blood was brought into the sanctuary, must be taken outside the camp. Their hides, flesh, and waste must be burned. The one who burns them must wash his clothes and bathe with water, and afterward may come into the camp. This is to be a lasting law for you. On the 10th day of the 7th month, you must deny yourselves and do no work, whether native-born or foreigner, because on this day atonement will be made for you, to cleanse you. Then you will be clean from all your sins before the Lord. It is a Sabbath of rest, and you must humble yourselves. It is a lasting ordinance. The priest who is anointed and ordained to succeed his father will make atonement. He will put on the sacred garments, make atonement for the most holy place, the tent of meeting, the altar, the priests, and all the people. This is a permanent law for you. Atonement must be made once each year for all the sins of the Israelites. And Moses did as the Lord commanded him. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Aaron, his sons, and all the Israelites, and say, 'This is what the Lord has commanded. Anyone from Israel who kills an ox, a lamb, or a goat inside or outside the camp, and does not bring it to the entrance of the tabernacle to offer it as a sacrifice to the Lord, must be cut off from the people. This is so the Israelites will bring their sacrifices to the priest at the tabernacle entrance, not to the open fields, and offer them as peace offerings to the Lord. The priest will sprinkle the blood on the altar of the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle and burn the fat as a sweet smell to the Lord. They must no longer offer sacrifices to goat idols, which they have followed. This will be a permanent law for them and for future generations. Say to them, if anyone from Israel or any foreigner living among them offers a burnt offering or a sacrifice, but does not bring it to the entrance of the tabernacle to offer it to the Lord, they must be cut off from their people. If anyone from Israel or any foreigner among them eats any blood, I will set my face against that person and cut them off from the people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you to make atonement for your souls on the altar. It is the blood that makes atonement for life. That's why I say to the Israelites, no one among you may eat blood, and no foreigner living among you may eat blood. If anyone hunts an animal or bird that may be eaten, they must drain out the blood and cover it with soil, for the life of every creature is in its blood. That is why I have told you, you must not eat the blood of any creature, because the life is in the blood. Anyone who eats it must be cut off. Anyone, native-born or foreigner, who eats an animal that died naturally or was torn by wild animals must wash their clothes, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. Then they will be clean. But if they do not wash or bathe, they will bear their guilt. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelites and say to them, I am the Lord your God. You must not do as they do in Egypt, where you used to live, and you must not do as they do in Canaan, where I am bringing you. Do not follow their ways. You must obey my laws and keep my rules, so you may live by them. I am the Lord. No one is to approach any close relative to have sexual relations. I am the Lord. Do not dishonor your father by having sexual relations with your mother. She is your mother. Do not have relations with her. Do not have sexual relations with your father's wife. That would dishonor your father. Do not have relations with your sister, whether she is your father's daughter or your mother's daughter, whether born at home or elsewhere. Do not have relations with your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter. That would dishonor yourself. Do not have relations with your father's wife's daughter, born to your father. She is your sister. Do not have relations with your father's sister. She is your father's close relative. Do not have relations with your mother's sister. She is your mother's close relative. Do not dishonor your father's brother by approaching his wife. She is your aunt. Do not have relations with your daughter-in-law. She is your son's wife. Do not have relations with your brother's wife. That would dishonor your brother. Do not have relations with both a woman and her daughter. Do not marry her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter. They are close relatives. That is wickedness. Do not take your wife's sister as a rival wife while your wife is living. Do not approach a woman to have sexual relations during her monthly period when she is unclean. Do not have sexual relations with your neighbor's wife and make yourself unclean with her. Do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Molech. Do not profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. Do not have sexual relations with a man as one does with a woman. It is an abomination. Do not have sexual relations with an animal and make yourself unclean with it. A woman must not present herself to an animal to have relations with it. That is perversion. Do not make yourselves unclean by any of these things, because by all these practices, the nations I am driving out before you have made themselves unclean. Even the land became unclean, so I punished it for its sin, and the land vomited out its inhabitants. But you must keep my laws and rules, and not do any of these detestable things, not the native-born or the foreigner living among you. For all these things were done by the people who lived in the land before you, and the land became unclean. If you defile the land, it will vomit you out as it vomited out the nations before you. Anyone who does these detestable things must be cut off from their people. Keep my requirements, and do not follow any of these detestable customs that were practiced before you came. Do not make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to all the people of Israel and say, You must be holy because I, the Lord your God, am holy. Each of you must respect your mother and father, and keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Do not turn to idols or make metal gods for yourselves. I am the Lord your God. When you offer a peace offering to the Lord, offer it in a way that it will be accepted. It must be eaten the same day you offer it, or the next day. Anything left over on the third day must be burned in fire. If any of it is eaten on the third day, it is spoiled and will not be accepted. Whoever eats it will be guilty and must bear their sin, because they have defiled what is holy to the Lord. When you harvest your land, do not cut the grain to the edge of your field, and do not gather what falls to the ground. Do not strip your vineyard bare, or pick up the fallen grapes. Leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. Do not steal. Do not lie. Do not deceive one another. Do not swear falsely by my name and so dishonor the name of your God. I am the Lord. Do not cheat your neighbor or rob them. Do not hold back wages from a hired worker overnight. Do not curse the deaf or put something in front of the blind to make them stumble. Fear your God. I am the Lord. Do not be unfair in judgment. Do not show favoritism to the poor or bias to the rich. Judge your neighbor fairly. Do not spread slander among your people. Do not do anything that endangers your neighbor's life. I am the Lord. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Correct your neighbor frankly, so you will not share in their guilt. Do not take revenge or hold a grudge against others. Love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. Keep my rules. Do not breed two different kinds of animals. Do not plant your field with two kinds of seed. Do not wear clothing made of two kinds of material. If a man has sexual relations with a slave woman, promised to another man but not yet redeemed or freed, there must be punishment. But they are not to be put to death, because she had not been freed. He must bring a ram as a guilt offering to the Lord at the tabernacle entrance. The priest will make atonement for him, and he will be forgiven. When you enter the land and plant fruit trees, consider their fruit unclean for 3 years. In the 4th year, all the fruit will be holy and offered to the Lord. In the 5th year, you may eat its fruit. In this way, your harvest will increase. I am the Lord your God. Do not eat anything with blood in it. Do not practice divination or sorcery. Do not cut the hair at the sides of your head or clip the edges of your beard. Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord. Do not dishonor your daughter by making her a prostitute, or the land will become full of wickedness. Keep my Sabbaths and respect my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not turn to mediums or seek out spirits, or you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Stand up in the presence of the elderly. Show respect for the aged, and fear your God. I am the Lord. If a stranger lives with you in your land, do not mistreat them. Treat the foreigner living among you as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Do not use dishonest measurements of length, weight, or volume. Use honest scales, honest weights, honest dry measures, and honest liquid measures. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. Keep all my rules and laws and follow them. I am the Lord. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Tell the Israelites, if anyone from Israel or any foreigner living among you gives any of their children to Molech, they must be put to death. The people must stone them. I will set my face against that person and cut them off from their people, because they have given their child to Molech, defiling my sanctuary and dishonoring my holy name. If the people ignore this and do not put them to death, I myself will turn against them and against their family and cut them off from their people, along with all who follow Molech. If anyone turns to mediums or spiritists and follows them, I will set my face against them and cut them off from their people. So set yourselves apart and be holy, because I am the Lord your God. Keep my laws and follow them. I am the Lord who makes you holy. Anyone who curses their father or mother must be put to death. They have cursed their parents. Their blood is on them. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, both the adulterer and the adulteress must be put to death. If a man sleeps with his father's wife, he dishonors his father. Both must be put to death. Their blood is on them. If a man sleeps with his daughter-in-law, both must be put to death. They have done something perverse. If a man has sexual relations with another man, as with a woman, both have done something detestable. They must be put to death. Their blood is on them. If a man marries both a woman and her mother, that is wickedness. All three must be burned with fire, so that wickedness will not spread among you. If a man has sexual relations with an animal, he must be put to death, and you must kill the animal too. If a woman approaches an animal to have relations with it, kill both the woman and the animal. Their blood is on them. If a man marries his sister, the daughter of his father or his mother, and sees her nakedness, it is a disgrace. They must be cut off in public. He has dishonored his sister. If a man sleeps with a woman during her monthly period and exposes her flow, both must be cut off from their people. Do not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister or your father's sister, because it dishonors a close relative. If a man sleeps with his aunt, he bears the guilt. They will die childless. If a man takes his brother's wife, it is impurity. He has dishonored his brother. They will be childless. Keep all my laws and rules. So the land I bring you to will not vomit you out. Do not follow the customs of the nations I am driving out before you. They did all these things, so I detested them. But I have said to you, you will possess their land, and I will give it to you as your inheritance, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, who has set you apart from other nations. So you must separate clean animals from unclean, and birds that are clean from those that are unclean. Do not make yourselves unclean by any animal, bird, or creature that moves on the ground. You are to be holy to me, because I, the Lord, am holy, and I have set you apart from the nations to be mine. A man or woman who is a medium or spiritist must be put to death. They must be stoned. Their blood is on them. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say, a priest must not make himself unclean for a dead person among his people, except for a close relative, his mother, father, son, daughter, or brother, and for an unmarried sister who depends on him and has no husband. He may make himself unclean for her, but he must not make himself unclean for anyone else, lest he profane himself. Priests must not shave their heads bald, or shave off the edges of their beards, or cut their bodies. They must be holy to their God and not dishonor his name. They bring the food offerings of the Lord, so they must be holy. They must not marry a woman who is a prostitute or dishonored, or a woman divorced from her husband. A priest is holy to his God. Treat him as holy, because he offers the food of your God. He must be holy to you, for I, the Lord, who makes you holy, am holy. If a priest's daughter becomes a prostitute, she dishonors her father. She must be burned with fire. The high priest, who has been anointed with oil and consecrated to wear the sacred garments, must not let his hair hang loose or tear his clothes. He must not go near any dead body, or make himself unclean, even for his father or mother. He must not leave the sanctuary or desecrate it, because he is set apart by the anointing oil of God. I am the Lord. He must marry a virgin from his own people. He must not marry a widow, a divorced woman, or one dishonored by prostitution. Only a virgin from his own people, so he does not defile his children among his people. I am the Lord who makes him holy. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, for generations to come, none of your descendants who has a physical defect may come near to offer food to his God. No man with a defect may serve, no one who is blind or lame, disfigured or deformed, no one with a crippled foot or hand, or who is hunchbacked or a dwarf, or has an eye defect, or skin disease, or damaged genitals. No descendant of Aaron the priest who has a defect may come near to offer food offerings to the Lord. Because of his defect, he must not come near to present them. He may eat the holy food of his God, both the most holy and the holy offerings, but he must not go near the veil or approach the altar because of his defect. He must not dishonor my sanctuary. I am the Lord who makes them holy." So Moses told this to Aaron, his sons, and all the Israelites. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron and his sons to treat the holy offerings with respect, so they do not dishonor my holy name. I am the Lord. Say to them, if any of your descendants, while unclean, approaches the holy offerings that the Israelites dedicate to me, he must be cut off. I am the Lord. If a priest becomes unclean by touching a dead body, a bodily flow, or anything unclean like a crawling creature or a man's impurity, he remains unclean until evening, and must not eat the holy offerings until he bathes in water. After sunset, he will be clean, and then he may eat the holy food, for it is his share. He must not eat anything that dies naturally or is torn by animals, or he will be made unclean. I am the Lord. The priests must keep my command, or they will bear guilt and die for it. I am the Lord who makes them holy. No one outside a priest's family may eat holy food, not even a guest or servant. But if a priest buys a slave with his own money, that slave may eat it. A slave born in his house may eat it too. If a priest's daughter marries someone outside the priestly family, she may not eat the holy offerings. But if she becomes a widow or is divorced, has no children, and returns to live with her father, she may eat her father's food again. If anyone eats a holy offering by mistake, they must repay the amount and add a fifth to it. The priests must not let people defile the sacred offerings the Israelites give to the Lord, or cause them to bear guilt by eating holy offerings when they're unclean. I am the Lord who makes them holy. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Aaron, his sons, and all the Israelites. Say to them, if anyone brings a sacrifice to the Lord, as a burnt offering or vow or free will offering, they must bring a male without defect from the cattle, sheep, or goats, so it will be accepted. Do not bring anything with a defect, because it will not be accepted. If anyone brings a fellowship offering to the Lord to fulfill a vow, or as a free will offering, it must be without defect. Do not offer to the Lord a blind, injured, maimed, or diseased animal. It must not be brought as a food offering. You may accept a deformed or stunted animal as a free will offering, but not for a vow. Do not offer to the Lord an animal whose testicles are bruised, crushed, torn, or cut. You must not do this in your land. You must not offer animals like this from a foreigner either. They will not be accepted. The Lord said to Moses, when a calf, lamb, or goat is born, leave it with its mother for 7 days. From the 8th day on it will be accepted as an offering. Do not kill a cow or sheep and its young on the same day. When you sacrifice a thank offering to the Lord, do it so it will be accepted. It must be eaten that same day. Do not leave any of it until morning. I am the Lord. Keep my commands and follow them. I am the Lord. Do not dishonor my holy name. I must be honored by the Israelites. I am the Lord who makes you holy, and who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelites and say, These are my appointed feasts, the Lord's sacred gatherings, which you must proclaim at their appointed times. 6 days you shall work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. Do no work. It is the Lord's Sabbath wherever you live. These are the Lord's appointed feasts, holy convocations, which you are to proclaim at their set times. The Passover of the Lord begins at twilight on the 14th day of the first month. On the 15th day of that month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. For 7 days you must eat bread without yeast. On the first day, hold a sacred assembly and do no regular work. For 7 days, present a food offering to the Lord. On the 7th day, hold another sacred assembly and do no regular work. The Lord said to Moses, When you enter the land I am giving you and reap its harvest, bring the first sheaf of your harvest to the priest. He will wave the sheaf before the Lord, so it will be accepted on your behalf. He must wave it the day after the Sabbath. On the day you wave the sheaf, offer a year-old male lamb without defect as a burnt offering to the Lord, along with a grain offering of fine flour mixed with oil and a drink offering of wine. It will be a pleasing aroma to the Lord. You must not eat any bread, roasted grain, or new grain until you bring this offering to your God. This is a lasting law for all generations. From the day after the Sabbath, the day you brought the wave offering, count 7 full weeks. Count 50 days. Then present a new grain offering to the Lord. Bring 2 loaves made of fine flour, baked with yeast, as firstfruits to the Lord. Along with the bread, offer 7 male lambs, 1 young bull, and 2 rams. They will be burnt offerings, a food offering made by fire, a sweet aroma to the Lord. Also offer 1 male goat as a sin offering, and 2 male lambs as a peace offering. The priest will wave them along with the bread of the first fruits before the Lord. They are holy and belong to the priest. That same day, proclaim a sacred assembly and do no regular work. This is a lasting law for all generations. When you harvest your land, do not reap to the edges of your field or gather what is left. Leave it for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. The Lord said to Moses, "On the first day of the 7th month, you are to have a day of rest, a sacred assembly with trumpet blasts, the Feast of Trumpets. Do no regular work and present a food offering to the Lord." The Lord said to Moses, "On the 10th day of this 7th month is the Day of Atonement. Hold a sacred assembly, deny yourselves, and bring a food offering to the Lord. Do no work on that day, because it is the day to make atonement before the Lord your God. Anyone who does not humble themselves must be cut off. Anyone who works that day must be destroyed from among the people. Do no work at all. It is a lasting ordinance for generations to come. It is a day of rest, and you must humble yourselves. It begins on the evening of the 9th day of the month and lasts until the next evening." The Lord said to Moses, "On the 15th day of the 7th month begins the Feast of Tabernacles. It lasts 7 days to the Lord. On the first day, hold a sacred assembly and do no regular work. For 7 days, present food offerings to the Lord. On the 8th day, hold another sacred assembly and bring a food offering. It is the closing festival. Do no regular work. These are the Lord's appointed feasts, which you must proclaim as sacred gatherings to bring offerings made by fire, burnt offerings, grain offerings, sacrifices, and drink offerings, each on its proper day. These are in addition to the Lord's Sabbaths and your gifts and freewill offerings. On the 15th day of the 7th month, after you have gathered the harvest, celebrate the Lord's festival for 7 days. The first day is a Sabbath rest, and the 8th day also. On the first day, take branches from beautiful trees, palm branches, leafy trees, and willows, and rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. Celebrate it as a lasting law for generations to come. Live in booths for 7 days. All native-born Israelites must live in booths, so your descendants will know that I made the Israelites live in booths when I brought them out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So Moses announced the Lord's appointed festivals to the people of Israel. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Command the Israelites to bring you pure oil from pressed olives, so the lamps can burn continually. Aaron must set up the lamps in the tent of meeting, outside the inner curtain, so they burn before the Lord every night. This is a lasting command for all generations. He must keep the lamps burning on the pure gold lampstand before the Lord continually. Take fine flour and bake 12 loaves of bread, each made with about 4 quarts of flour. Arrange them in 2 rows of 6 on the pure gold table before the Lord. Put pure frankincense on each row of bread. It will serve as a memorial portion, a food offering to the Lord. Every Sabbath day, the bread must be set out regularly before the Lord. It belongs to the Israelites as a lasting covenant. The bread will belong to Aaron and his sons. They must eat it in a holy place, because it is most holy, part of the food offerings to the Lord, a permanent portion." One day, a man with an Israelite mother and an Egyptian father got into a fight in the camp with an Israelite man. During the fight, the half-Israelite man blasphemed the name of the Lord with a curse. So they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Dibri, from the tribe of Dan. They kept him under guard until the Lord's decision became clear. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Take the one who cursed outside the camp. Everyone who heard him must lay their hands on his head. Then the whole community must stone him. Tell the Israelites, anyone who curses their God is responsible for their sin. Anyone who blasphemes the name of the Lord must be put to death. The entire community must stone him. Whether foreigner or native-born, if they blaspheme the name, they must be put to death. If anyone kills a person, they must be put to death. If anyone kills an animal, they must make restitution life for life. If anyone injures another person, the same injury must be done to them. Break for break, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As they have injured someone, they will be injured in return. Whoever kills an animal must pay for it, but whoever kills a human being must be put to death. You must have the same law for both foreigners and native-born people. I am the Lord your God. Then Moses spoke to the Israelites. They took the man who had cursed God outside the camp and stoned him. The Israelites did exactly what the Lord commanded Moses. The Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say, when you enter the land I am giving you, the land must rest, a Sabbath to the Lord. For 6 years sow your fields, prune your vineyards, and gather the crops. But in the 7th year, the land must have a Sabbath rest, a Sabbath to the Lord. Do not sow your fields or prune your vineyards. Do not reap what grows by itself, or gather the grapes of untended vines. The land is to have a year of rest. Whatever the land produces during that year will be food for you, for yourself, your servants, your hired workers, foreigners living among you, and for your livestock and wild animals. Whatever the land yields may be eaten. Count 7 Sabbath years, 7 times 7 years, a total of 49 years. Then, on the 10th day of the 7th month, the Day of Atonement, sound the trumpet throughout your land. Consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It will be a jubilee for you. Each of you must return to your own property and to your own family. The 50th year will be a jubilee for you. Do not sow or reap or gather grapes from untended vines. It is a holy year. You may eat only what grows naturally in the fields. In this year of Jubilee, everyone is to return to their own property. If you sell land to any of your people or buy land from them, do not take advantage of one another. You are to buy from them based on the number of years since the Jubilee, and they are to sell to you based on the number of harvests. The more years left, the higher the price. The fewer years, the lower the price. It's the number of crops being sold to you. Do not take advantage of one another, but fear your God. I am the Lord your God. Follow my decrees and be careful to obey my laws, and you will live safely in the land. The land will yield its fruit, and you will eat your fill and live there in safety. You might ask, what will we eat in the 7th year if we don't plant or harvest? I will send my blessing in the 6th year, so the land will produce enough for 3 years. You will plant in the 8th year and eat from the old crop until the new one comes in. The land must not be sold permanently, because it belongs to me. You are only foreigners and tenants with me. Throughout the land you own, you must allow for the redemption of the land. If one of your countrymen becomes poor and sells some of their land, their nearest relative may redeem it. If there's no relative but the seller later prospers, they may redeem what was sold. The price is based on the years remaining until the next Jubilee. The buyer must refund the difference. If they can't afford to repay, the land stays with the buyer until the year of Jubilee, when it will return to the original owner. If someone sells a house in a walled city, they have a full year to buy it back. After that, it stays with the buyer permanently. But houses in villages without walls are treated like land. They return in the Jubilee. Levites always have the right to redeem their houses in Levitical towns. If they don't redeem them, they still return at Jubilee. The pasture land around their cities must never be sold. It is their permanent possession. If your fellow Israelite becomes poor and needs help, support them like a foreigner living among you. Do not charge them interest or make a profit. Fear your God, and let them live among you. Do not lend them money at interest or sell them food at a profit. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt to give you this land and to be your God. If an Israelite becomes poor and sells themselves to you, do not make them work as slaves. They are to be treated as hired workers or temporary residents. They will work until the year of Jubilee. Then, they and their children are free to return to their land and to their family. Because the Israelites are my servants, whom I brought out of Egypt, they must not be sold as slaves. Do not rule over them harshly, but fear your God. You may buy slaves from other nations or from foreigners living among you. They may become your property and be passed on to your children. But your fellow Israelites must not be ruled over harshly. If a foreigner among you becomes rich, and an Israelite becomes poor and sells themselves to the foreigner, they retain the right of redemption. One of their relatives may redeem them, or they may redeem themselves if they prosper. The price will be based on the number of years left until the Jubilee, and must be fair. They are to be treated like a hired worker and must not be ruled harshly. Even if not redeemed, they and their children are to be released in the year of Jubilee, because the Israelites belong to me. They are my servants, whom I brought out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Do not make idols for yourselves. Do not set up a carved image or a sacred stone. Do not place any sculpted stone in your land to bow down to it. I am the Lord your God. Keep my Sabbaths and show reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you follow my statutes and carefully obey my commands, I will send you rain in its season, and the land will yield its crops, and the trees will bear fruit. Your threshing will continue until grape harvest, and the grape harvest will continue until planting. You will eat all the food you want and live in safety in your land. I will grant peace in the land, and you will lie down with no one to make you afraid. I will remove wild beasts from your land, and no sword will pass through it. You will chase your enemies, and they will fall before you by the sword. 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you will chase 10,000. Your enemies will fall by the sword before you. I will look on you with favor and make you fruitful and increase your numbers. I will keep my covenant with you. You will still be eating last year's harvest when you need to make room for the new. I will set my dwelling among you, and I will not reject you. I will walk among you and be your God, and you will be my people. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt so you would no longer be slaves. I broke the bars of your yoke and enabled you to walk with your head held high. But if you will not listen to me or obey all these commands, and if you reject my statutes and break my covenant, then I will bring terror upon you, wasting disease and fever that destroy your sight and drain your strength. You will plant seed in vain, because your enemies will eat it. I will set my face against you, and you will be defeated by your enemies. Those who hate you will rule over you, and you will run even when no one is chasing you. If after all this you still do not listen to me, I will punish you 7 times more for your sins. I will break your pride in power and make the sky above like iron and the ground beneath like bronze. Your strength will be spent in vain, and your land will yield no harvest. If you continue to walk in hostility toward me, I will send wild animals against you. They will rob you of your children, destroy your livestock, and reduce your numbers until your roads are deserted. If you remain hostile and refuse to return to me, I will strike you 7 times for your sins. I will bring the sword against you to carry out the terms of the covenant. When you gather in your cities, I will send pestilence among you, and you will be handed over to your enemies. I will cut off your supply of bread, so that 10 women can bake your bread in one oven and dole it out by weight. You will eat but not be satisfied. If you still do not obey me and continue to walk contrary to me, I will act in fury. I myself will discipline you 7 times for your sins. You will eat the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters. I will destroy your high places, cut down your incense altars, and pile your dead bodies on the lifeless forms of your idols. I will abhor you. I will make your cities ruins and desolate your sanctuaries. I will no longer accept your offerings. I will lay waste to your land so your enemies will be appalled. I will scatter you among the nations and draw out my sword after you. Your land will become desolate and your cities a ruin. Then the land will enjoy its Sabbaths all the time it lies desolate while you are in exile. As long as the land lies empty, it will enjoy the rest you refuse to give it when you live there. For those who survive, I will make their hearts tremble in the lands of their enemies. They will run at the sound of a leaf blowing, fleeing as if from the sword, and fall even when no one pursues them. They will stumble over one another as if fleeing from battle, even though no one is chasing them. You will not be able to stand before your enemies. You will perish among the nations, and the land of your enemies will consume you. Those who are left will waste away in the lands of their enemies because of their sins and the sins of their ancestors. But if they confess their sins and the sins of their ancestors, their unfaithfulness and hostility toward me, and if their stubborn hearts are humbled and they make amends, then I will remember my covenant with Jacob, my covenant with Isaac, and my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. Even though the land is deserted and they are in exile, I will not reject or destroy them completely, because I am the Lord their God. For their sake, I will remember the covenant with their ancestors, whom I brought out of Egypt in the sight of the nations to be their God. I am the Lord. These are the statutes, rules, and laws the Lord established between himself and the Israelites through Moses on Mount Sinai. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say, if anyone makes a special vow to give someone to the Lord by a set value, here is how you must assign the value. A man between 20 and 60 years old is worth 50 silver shekels using the sanctuary scale. A woman in that age range is worth 30 shekels. For people between 5 and 20 years old, a male is worth 20 shekels, and a female is worth 10 shekels. For children 1 month to 5 years old, a male is worth 5 shekels, and a female is worth 3 shekels. For those 60 years or older, a man is worth 15 shekels, and a woman is worth 10 shekels. If the person making the vow is too poor to pay the set amount, they must present themselves to the priest, who will set a value according to what they can afford. If the vow is about an animal acceptable as an offering to the Lord, it becomes holy. Do not exchange it or substitute it. If you try to swap it, both the original and the replacement become holy. If the animal is unclean and not acceptable, the person must bring it to the priest, who will set its value. If they want to buy it back, they must add 1/5 to its value. If someone dedicates a house to the Lord, the priest will judge its value. If the person wants to redeem it, they must add 1/5 to the price. If someone dedicates a portion of land, its value must be set according to the amount of seed it takes to plant it. A homer of barley seed is worth 50 shekels. If they dedicate it during the year of Jubilee, the full value applies. If after the Jubilee they dedicate it, the priest will calculate the price based on the number of years left until the next Jubilee. If they want to redeem the land, they must add 1/5 to the value. If they do not redeem it and it is sold to someone else, it can never be bought back. When the land is released at the Jubilee, it will become holy, like land specially devoted to the Lord. It becomes the priest's property. If someone dedicates land they bought, not part of their family property, the priest will calculate its value up to the Jubilee, and the payment must be made that day. In the year of Jubilee, it returns to the original owner. All values must be calculated by the sanctuary shekel, which weighs 20 gerahs. No one may dedicate the firstborn of an animal because it already belongs to the Lord. Whether ox or sheep, it is the Lord's. If it is an unclean animal, it may be bought back by adding 1/5 to its value. If not redeemed, it will be sold at that value. Anything completely devoted to the Lord, whether person, animal, or land, is most holy. It cannot be sold or redeemed. No one who is devoted in this way may be redeemed. They must be put to death. A tenth of everything from the land, whether grain or fruit, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to him. If anyone wants to redeem any of their tithe, they must add 1/5 to it. Every 10th animal that passes under the shepherd's rod will be holy to the Lord. Do not check if it's good or bad or try to exchange it. If someone does exchange it, both animals become holy and cannot be redeemed. These are the commands the Lord gave Moses for the Israelites on Mount Sinai.